Do you care about Judean cop slot? Nope. I just want to kill this boss. What? Link the XQC.
Alright, one more and I'm done. Give me a good one. What is that? Join it?
Join it?
Regardless, a lot of these private prisons are exploiting these people and exploiting our tax dollars. You know.
What if I did something right now? This guy's whole stream.
The topic is Miss Andrea real?
This happened already. I saw this before.
I closed
Hold on
it.
1 second.
Hello?
Yeah.
Why is there somebody to join?
What if I did something?
Hello?
What if I did something?
Make a courtroom and add a bunch of people up. Make a courtroom.
Yeah.
Wait, what's going on?
Let's go
There's
to
like
the main topic. Let's go to the main topic. Is Miss Andrew
Yo, what up,
wrong?
X?
Is Miss Andrew wrong? Shut up.
Of course it's wrong. Of course it's wrong.
What?
The title of this debate makes it think like you think that it's not wrong.
Miss Andrew doesn't in
I
practice.
don't. Wait, hold on. I don't necessarily. Who is speaking over me? I don't like when men speak over me. Really, PMOs. So.
Bro, what is the
I'm sorry.
Make a court.
Miss Andrew's obviously wrong.
Yeah,
She's just
so-
rage baiting.
Okay, true. Yeah, true. Yeah, she is.
Don't rage bait.
True.
Wait, you're the lady always makes babies.
I believe Miss Andrew.
Shut up. Stop talking.
We're on Twitch right now.
It's not,
I don't
dude.
know-
We're
I
also
don't know
on
what that
Kick,
happened.
actually.
Where's?
It's
Shut up, bro.
it's
Shut up.
you. It's you. You're the rage baiter.
Who?
You're rage baiting.
No, it's not.
No, I'm not
She's
rage
actually.
bait. No, I'm not trying to rage bait. We haven't even debated yet.
Yeah, but you rage bait
I'm
all the time
rage
though. I know. I see on the servers. You rage bait every day with new topics, and then you
I have never done that.
you
I've
exploit
never
men for
done
TikTok.
that.
Men aren't just like toys you could use for your TikTok views, man.
I have never exploited MENs ever in my life. That's disturbing. I would never do that. Ew.
Did you say ew?
No, I would never. Yeah, exploiting people is wrong. I would never do that.
That's what you're doing right now, though.
But I'm not exploiting everyone. Wait, give me an example of how I'm exploiting someone.
So the title is rage bait, right? And it caused an emotional reaction
I'm
out
I'm
of me.
asking a genuine question.
And that now you're exploiting me by manipulating my feelings. That's not right.
How am I? How am I manipulating your feelings? Oh my gosh, I'm so.
Because your title is deliberately manipulative.
How?
No, it's not manipulable. It's whatever you just said. I'm asking a genuine question. Is Miss Andrew wrong? Is it like?
Yeah.
Like, what do you think?
Hates of all kinds like that are wrong. You shouldn't hate on
But
traits you
why
cannot
is-
change.
Yeah. So why is hate against men wrong?
Because hate against women is wrong.
Okay, but women are better than men.
Okay, see, you're rage baiting. See, that's it. That's all I had to know.
That's the rage
Okay,
bait.
but
There's the rage bait.
but you
There's the
can't-
rage bait.
But you can't prove that men are better than women, low-key. So.
But
I don't think they are better than women.
Yeah, exactly.
You
We're
said
equal.
Well, I
You
mean,
said
like,
women
you
are
can
better
think
than men,
that.
so-
I mean, you can always think that, but you're always. so
You sound
wrong.
like a vegan liberal,
Oh,
low-key.
I don't like. I'm not vegan. That's for men.
Okay.
What?
And I'm not a liberal. So wait, are you gonna like debate though? Like I asked you a genuine question.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Here's the debate. How? Okay. Why are you so broke, and how are you gonna get out of your income zone?
I make 500. So I make 500 million a year. So I'm not.
Yeah.
broke.
Roblox don't count.
I don't make money on Roblox. I am like I have 6 PhDs actually, and
Yeah. See, rage bait.
And
See, you
psychology.
click your lips.
No, no,
You
no,
click.
I can actually,
when
like,
people
I
that
can
click their lips
actually
are
show
rage
them.
baiting it. That's easy. You've been
No,
caught
I can
red-handed.
actually show. No, I can actually show that I have 6 PhDs in
Fuck you.
psychology, law, women's.
No, you can't prove
studies,
that. You cannot prove that.
Biology. Yes, I can. Yes, I can.
No. Hey, can you prove this?
Yeah, I can.
Prove this.
Prove what?
Because of white tea people, and they used to see us as animals. So I don't know why. I think your server's getting raided, but yeah, there's a reason why. They thought of us as animals.
Who's
so,
raiding
yeah.
my server?
No, I think the people is back. The famous person is back.
Oh, they're raiding your server.
You can continue what you're saying.
XQC is not BLK, so do not believe that.
What is this whole XQC?
How do you know that? How do you know that?
His name ever since
I guess.
How do you know that?
Uneducated, literally uneducated.
Wait. So I have a question.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
So basically, like, this is kind of confusing me, but like, I don't understand. Hold on 1 second. I gotta pause my music. So basically, like, when I fuck you, do you like it up the ass or up the pussy?
Can you not?
Why are all
Like,
of them asking that? Are they like coming from alive or something?
No, why are you guys keep bringing him up
Who
here?
brought
Like,
him up?
literally, he's a troll.
I think y'all should.
That's what
ban
I'm
him,
saying.
like,
I was
don't
about
know.
to say who brought him up, but then I got
Can y'all
confused. I was
ban
like,
him?
maybe.
Why did I get kicked? What? Why did I get kicked? I don't. It's literally, it's outrageous. Like, I don't agree with it, but it was out of nowhere, you know what I mean?
But why do you hate veganism?
What the heck?
But you can't just
didn't say I hated
hating on
veganism.
vegans is racist. That doesn't
What?
make sense.
Bro,
Why?
what just
How does that make
Exactly, it
sense?
doesn't
Is
make
that a
sense.
race? Is that a race?
No, but everyone in Africa
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
What you?
Yeah, but
that
I'm
doesn't
saying
make
that-
sense at
Just
all,
because
bro.
old,
It's
like,
not a.
just because-
It's not a race, my boy.
Yeah, but everyone in that
race is vegan.
No, because if you hate on
It doesn't matter. We're not talking about that. We're talking
no,
about.
because if you hate on
like,
veganism,
oh
the
my
majority
gosh.
of people.
Do you even know
Well,
what
vegans are
racism
African.
means?
Yeah, it's a race. You hate on
Yeah,
race.
everyone
knows
yeah.
what that means.
Yeah,
But
being
what
vegan
does
is not a race. Being vegan is not a race, though.
exactly. It's a choice.
Yeah, but everyone in
Yeah,
Africa is vegan.
it's a choice.
Yeah, exactly.
being
Yeah, but
Yeah.
a
everybody who
race
lives
is
in
not a
Africa
choice.
are
You being
vegan.
this
That's how
dumb
you
is a
were
choice.
born. Being vegan is a choice.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
exactly.
people in Africa, they don't have that choice. They have to be vegan.
What?
What? Not true.
Vegan.
Listen,
They have to be.
You're not making
There's
sense.
no way. You must be American. Wallahi, you must be American.
Wait
What is that?
Okay, I don't
You
like
guys are contradicting yourselves right now because earlier you said that there's lions and tigers in Africa. So why would African people be vegan if there are so many resources of meat?
So are you
There's no
denying
tigers in
that?
Africa.
What? Yeah, but you don't. You don't eat the tigers and the lions, though. What are you talking about?
Yeah, because you can't
Yeah,
eat
the
them.
tigers
you can
eat
only cows in
everything.
Africa.
Yeah, they don't taste very good.
Yeah, I think that argument was really dumb. Honestly, I'll be honest with you. I think being vegan comes at a place of privilege because when you're broke, you can't really be vegan. Let's be honest.
Fact.
You
Yeah,
can't
why
be vegan because if you live in
Yeah,
Africa,
wait, hold
then
on.
you don't have money.
Hold on, forcing everyone to be vegan is kind of just classist. If you
It is. It's forcing them to pretty much die. You're sending them to the grinder.
Nobody's
yeah,
forcing
vegetables are
anybody to be
expensive
vegan.
sometimes.
Sometimes, all the time. I bought 3 peppers the other day. I had to break my little piggy.
You had to break the
3
piggy?
peppers,
I
like
don't
15
believe
bucks. Are you kidding me?
I don't believe
Why
that.
are we LARPing? Why are we LARPing right now?
But you guys do know that if you're in Africa, then you don't have any money, really. So you have to like, you have to be vegan because it's the cheapest option.
Bro,
What?
Your username says it all, bro. I'm sorry.
Oh nah, bro. Oh nah, bro.
And I don't really think it's okay to say it's racism because I'm far from racist.
Okay,
You are actually.
Actually, yes.
I think out of
Nah,
everyone
bro, you
here,
gotta
you're
use that
probably the
streamer
most
money.
racist.
You're like
Send
the
some
most.
steak.
Yeah, I think my food's here anyway, chat. It's been here 32. Oh,
Guys,
Again with this guy.
Oh my god, not this guy again.
Oh my god, I can't believe it.
This is the first
Bro,
time
what
you've
does he
met
want?
me.
Hi.
Okay, you're back again. What?
Now, where were you in this discussion, though? What?
Oh my
Like,
gosh.
I have a good argument. I have a good argument.
All right, can
Okay,
we?
let's
It's
hear
talking a
it.
bit too loud.
Now, listen. Looks aren't the only thing, but it definitely helps in almost every field to be handsome or be beautiful.
Okay, but looks are the prerequisite, right? So
No,
if you don't
nope.
have good looks.
Nope.
No, that's
Wrong.
just- it's true. You don't worry about like the stuff that comes after if
55
you can't
months
even
super
get to
juiced
that.
on a
Like
stack.
looks will help you, and also looks will help you. Like it's the most high leverage thing you can do is raise your looks, because then it raises everything else around you. Whereas if you just work on my personality, like if you work on looks, you're gonna improve looks and personality at the same time.
How? How does that correlate?
Because, dude, this is the halo effect. Like you need to watch more Clav, bro. Seriously.
Okay, that's right. Nah, yeah, classic RB.
Bro, so you're just gonna invalidate my struggle and try and say everything I do is rage bait because you can't, you don't understand how to debate somebody who's like a
Rage baiting?
mastermind like me.
At rage baiting.
No. Oh my
you
gosh,
feeling wrong?
don't make me ban you again, bro.
Okay. Well, let me tell you this. If you work on your looks, you're working on your looks. If you're working on your personality, you're working on personality. You shouldn't even work on either, let's be honest. If you have to work on your personality, you're just gonna have a bad person anyway. Nobody cares, right? Like, you should just be better. Straight up. Like,
Right.
how do you improve?
So-
I'm gonna be, yeah, you can improve it, right? But, like, doing it mechanically is weird. I think it's weird. It's non-human.
You need to work. Okay, so how do you work on like personality? Like
You
just
don't
saying
you don't
you're
do
either
that.
screwed or you're not.
Your personality is an extension of who you are as a person. What you should be doing is just learning more and understanding your world more, right? Getting more information and just opening yourself to more things, and then your personality will improve. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree.
Nah, that's cap.
How do
That's
you
not
improve
right.
your personality?
You just said that you can't.
Like personality, because the personality is an extension of who you are. Improve who you are, and then your personality will improve. It's like if you practice like good thoughts, or like if you're kind of, let's say if you're more mindful, if you're more grateful, then your personality, the extension of all these things will make you a nicer person. But if you do it
Okay, but
mechanically,
you
then
can't-
you're skipping the part. If you say, "Oh, I'm gonna act
you blame
nice," but you're not
personality-
nice, then you're not going anywhere.
But if you blame personality, you can't really fix that. Whereas with looks, I can say that my looks are my issue and always, pass it on to that. And then I can stay insecure, and it's like a way to, keep myself feeling like I'm not the issue, it's my looks, see? And then I
Oh,
can
you
just
mean
blame
the,
everybody
yeah,
else.
I get it. You mean like the Jonah Hill effect is what you mean.
Yes, exactly. See, this guy gets it.
That's your problem.
John Hiller. Who is John
Okay,
Hiller?
but if I can't blame looks, then I don't get to keep my victim mentality, and then it's like,
Yeah, true.
now
Bobby.
I have to realize that it's me that's the problem.
Yeah, I mean, I think victim mindset is it's like Elo Hell. You know what Elo Hell is?
Yeah, bro.
Well, it's just believing that there's some form of force out there that's preventing you from getting better or going to the places you want to be. Whether that exists or not is entirely up to you. You make that happen. Elo Hell is the thing that you create.
Wow, that was inspirational.
Yeah, you got it. No problem. So I'm here.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate that. Those were words of wisdom. Everybody needs to take that in,
I have no idea what was just said.
You wouldn't get it. It's more of a game. It's a game term. It's like a video games terms.
It ends quickly for most players.
I'm not most players, man.
Goal for Brazil.
You're next.
How did you do all that?
Just like that, that, that.
But how do I become the debate king? That's good. I like that.
That's how you do it all, with faster performance and battery life for days from the processor your PC wishes it had.
Crown Nuggets are back at Burger King, and you're never too old to get your crown on. Let kids rule with the $3.99 kids meal, or get the 8-piece for you.
What a hotel. Right? And only $250 a night for my favorite site. What? You didn't check Trivago?
I got mine for $155. You have to check Trivago.
Oh yeah? Prove it.
On Trivago, you can compare hotel prices from multiple different sites.
Even your favorite one.
Look, same hotel, $100 less.
You didn't check Trivago? I didn't check Trivago.
Check Trivago to compare prices and save up to 40%. Hotel? Trivago.
Chad, just like a small star, just a small one. Small one. Okay. Just not that though. Just give me a, I don't even know what the fuck I just watched. All right. Very interesting. That was, yeah, very interesting. Chat. Any video that I missed that's kind of good? So I'm kind of.
Bro, to this day, I have no clue what this nigga was doing, bro.
4
Like when you
years
look at the
away.
video, this nigga was stacking bricks on a glass.
I already said
table.
that.
Of course it was gonna break. Like this
Chat,
is one of those
I
legendary
watched
violence,
that.
but when you break it down, what was he doing? Like what was he trying to achieve from that? Like my nigga was really stacking bricks on a glass table and had the audacity to say, oh no, it's broken, bro. What the fuck did you think was gonna happen? Bro, to this day.
Okay.
Fastest hot dog shooter in the Northwest. I've never seen nobody be able to do this. I can do it quick. Okay? I'm just saying. We can go viral with this one.
All right. Chat, why are you so weird? You see that? Like the interface is like weird these days. It's like I think it changed. Okay. Chat. I think just one video and then I'll go. I just eat some food. Fifth video. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No. We cannot watch any soccer matches, even the replays days after. You can't do it.
Just play a game.
Well, I can't. I gotta eat some food. I haven't eaten today, right? Chat, these are all weird. What the fuck is on with my front page? It's like odd.
Nathan Johnson Fartmouth Bogu.
The file's already deleted? Wait, was this music? Where? I don't see it. Further up? Can't see it. Nope. Nope. And... oh, you mean this?
We have 11 people competing in 2010.
What is that? What the fuck?
Slam it next time, Mr. Cow.
These Bangladeshi buses look beat as hell for a surprisingly sinister reason. It's not just because of the scraping and bashing. I mean, that's an issue. It doesn't help. Instead, there's a root problem that has created a deadly high-speed bus race culture.
Oh my god.
And these have quickly become the most dangerous roads on Earth. Today, we're taking an average bus ride through Bangladeshi streets and counting the near
Man, that's
misses,
awful.
crashes, and just generally trying not to die.
What? Oh no, that was fine. That's fine. I forgot. Chat, it's in KMH, right?
Not to die.
Oh, that's fine. I mean, we go 120 here on the highway.
You might think it would take more than just one bus ride in Bangladesh for a near-death experience. You would be wrong. And by the end of this video, you're going to understand why drivers are choosing to race these 20-ton death machines on public roads, what happens when things go wrong, and why this is very unlikely to change anytime soon.
Can I make my phone? That actually looks like a good video because I always wondered.
Welcome to Sayadabad, Dhaka.
Well, I kind of know a little
This
bit about
place
it.
is not just a bus station, it's this 24/7 metal smashing arena. Look at the buses. They aren't vehicles, they're 20-ton death machines.
Alright, and they have how many buses here you were saying?
More than 20,000 buses.
Alright, and so we're about to get on one of these buses.
Yeah.
Am I going to die?
Okay, no, it don't gonna die, but this is the risky travel by bus, but it don't gonna be die.
Alright, sounds lovely. Let's go.
Very popular.
Guys, this bus stop is kind of crazy. There's so many buses when you get the drone in the air. It's just kind of wild. It's just all in and around this big underpass. There's noise everywhere. There's chickens, there's geese. You gotta be careful.
I'm so sorry.
20,000 buses, all of them racing, smashing, and generally trying, well, not to die. But guys, you don't treat a 20-ton vehicle like a goddamn bumper car without leaving some serious scars.
Guys, look at this shit.
Sheesh. Okay. My brain is here. I'm engaged. What is, what did I miss? I haven't been watching or listening to anything. He debated misogyny, insane Roblox debates. Jubilee Slappa.
What happens when a group of scientists makes some prediction of impending disaster? Keep doing such and such, they say, and the following catastrophe will result. This is the story of Cassandra, Princess of Troy.
Of the 5 largest wildfires in the history of California, 4 occurred simultaneously in the summer of 2020. And in the midst of this crisis, Donald Trump was on Fox News, blaming a fish.
We could create an area which is almost impossible for it to catch fire. You know, in California, they have tremendous amounts of water pouring down from the north. You look at it, and yet they have no water. And all they have to do is let the water come down. You know what they do with the water? They send it out into the Pacific Ocean.
Why?
They have this massive valve up north, and as the water comes pouring down from the snow and all beautiful, nice, clean water, they send it out. Because there's a tiny little fish that they're trying to save that's doing very poorly, by the way. I think it's a smell. Tiny little fish.
To most people, this comment is indistinguishable from any number of nonsense statements to come out of Donald Trump's mouth. But in reality, he was tapping into a very deep well of right-wing conspiracy theorizing.
Show the little delta smelt, this little...
What is this? What's your take on this trans discourse? No fun allowed. Now remember, young man, no fun clothes, no fun/long hair, no fun names/nicknames, no feminine hobbies. Is this supposed to be attacking trans medicalists? Is that... I don't, okay. This is too autistic.
Minnow fish.
A minnow that isn't even good enough to be bait.
The delta smelt, a tiny fish.
Now, I've heard about the delta smelt.
The Delta smelt is a small translucent fish that likes cool, brackish waters. It's about 3 inches long, 1 ounce, and has a lifespan of about 1 year, living in salt.
I don't know, and I don't know which side to take. That's why I sent it. So some people would argue that there is a such thing as some internal concept of our gender that comports with some social like engagement back and forth. But there are ultra awesome, cool people who think that being trans is just an epic state of mind where you just like say you're trans and that's it. And so if there are trans people who like say tomorrow I say, okay, actually I changed my mind, I'm a trans woman. And they're like, oh, okay. But let's say that I don't do any voice training, I don't dress any differently, I don't shave my facial hair, I do nothing. I'm just like, yeah, she, her, or some don't even go by different pronouns. Like, oh, you can call me whatever pronouns you want, but I'm a trans woman. It's just like, it's such a goofy way to engage with, in my opinion, trans topics. It's just like not worth dealing with. But there are some people who are very big on the whole, like, you can't judge people for wanting to pass or not wanting to pass. And it gets into a whole bunch of class stuff because only wealthy people can afford the really good surgeries and some people are just unlucky and blah, 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 blah.
To your bay water during its adulthood before swimming upstream to freshwater to reproduce at the end of the year. There is nothing special about this fish, except that conservative media has convinced half the country that it's responsible for every natural disaster that has befallen California in the past decade, which is quite a feat, because by the time the president was blaming wildfires on it, it had already gone extinct. I say gone extinct, more like it was driven there.
We're gonna send these Delta smelt to sleep with the fishes.
This is the story of the Delta smelt, the first species in history to be driven to extinction by a cable news smear campaign.
They're still moving.
California is essentially a giant bowl. The coast, the border with Nevada, the redwoods in the north, and the Mojave Desert to the south are all lined with mountains. So all the rainwater and snowmelt from these mountains are all collected in the same two rivers, the Sacramento and the San Joaquin. These two rivers converge in a sort of backwards delta, which empties into the San Francisco Bay. This delta is creatively named the Sacramento-San Joaquin Delta, and this valley in the middle of California is creatively named the Central Valley. And in California, rain falls mostly in the north end and nowhere else. If not for irrigation, most of the valley would be a desert. And most of the river water comes not from rain, but from snowmelt, which means it's seasonal. It comes not at all during the summer and winter, and then all at once in the early spring. By nature, California is either uninhabitably dry or uninhabitably wet. Farming there is a bit of a gamble. That is until FDR was elected president.
Whoa!
Every dark hour of our national life, a leadership of frankness and of vigor has met with that understanding and support of the people themselves.
And suddenly a bunch of money could flow in from the federal government for public works projects. Projects like dams.
This is the story of Hoover Dam, one of America's 7 modern civil engineering wonders.
Dams meant California could capture flood water and parcel it out to farmers during the drought season. And that water could be provided cheap to any farmer that was willing to front the money to build a canal. This scheme became known as the Central Valley Project, and it dammed virtually every major river in California. And the valley became a massive swath of farmlands. And that's just the beginning, because remember, most people don't live in the valley, they live in Los Angeles. As Los Angeles has grown, California has embarked on bigger and bigger projects to get water there. In fact, the history of California is basically the history of harebrained schemes to get Los Angeles more water. The most ambitious of these is the California Aqueduct, a massive set of pumps, canals, pipelines, and reservoirs that are capable of moving river water from basically any part of the state to Los Angeles. Words fail to describe how big and complex this system is. But to give you an idea, imagine a gallon of water flowing down.
Why is it goofy if that's their idea of gender? Why does it matter that they don't do XYZ to prove that they really feel this way? Well, because it muddies the conversation for people that like have an authentic trans experience. Like if you are authentically a trans person and you're likely experiencing some level of gender dysphoria, there's like a certain set of things that you probably need to do to alleviate your condition and to feel better about yourself. But if we start throwing in a whole bunch of other people into that conversation about like who's trans, well, now it's hard. Like the conversation becomes like kind of meaningless, and it's like I don't know what even when somebody says they're trans, I don't know what that means anymore. How you deal with these people. I feel like the most real life manifestation I've seen of this, I guess, is when people tell me, and people only tell me this because obviously I'm not in school anymore, but people tell me that like if you go to trans spaces now in colleges, they are overwhelmingly dominated by AFABs who are not looking for any kind of hormone treatment. So if you're having like a trans experience where you kind of want to have like, I don't know what kind of hormones I need or what side effects there are, or how do I transition, trans spaces just kind of like aren't for you anymore, or at least they weren't, I guess, like 10 years ago. Instead, they're just for a bunch of people who are on some like culture issue shit, who just want to like talk about like how cool it is to identify as a certain thing, and that's like part of their aesthetic. Gatekeeping transness seems meaningless, though. The idea is to express your gender how it feels at the moment. No? Not really, but I mean, if that's Okay, I don't know. Never mind.
A stream in the Scott Mountains in northern California near the border with Oregon. It eventually joins up with the Trinity River. Now, it should eventually join with the Klamath River and go out to sea right around here. But instead, it's dammed up and then diverted 10 miles through a pipe buried underneath the Trinity Mountains to here, the Whiskeytown Reservoir. Eventually, it's released into the Sacramento River, where it flows 200 miles south down to the Delta, where it should, again, let out to the ocean here. But instead, it's sucked up by a massive pumping station and sent here to the Clifton Court Forebank. Then, it gets pumped 70 miles south through the Delta-Mendota Canal and pumped up here to the San Luis Reservoir, where it waits until it's needed, at which point it is dropped through a power turbine into the O'Neill Reservoir and then outlet again into the California Aqueduct, where it is pumped another 200 miles south to a new set of pumping stations. The last of these, the Edmondson pumping plant, pumps the water up a half-mile vertically over the Tehachapi Mountains, where it is eventually released here into the Pyramid and Castaic Lakes. And from there, it can flow down at its leisure into the Los Angeles Metropolitan Waterworks, who can then pump it to its final destination here in Kim Kardashian's swimming pool.
When's the last time you used a pool?
I've never used our pool, actually.
What?
Money well spent. And yet, most of that water doesn't go to LA, even though that's who the infrastructure was built for. Instead, most of it goes to the farms. Farms consume between 30 and 60% of the state's water. And water is not a free market commodity. It's a hierarchy. The government has a list of who has priority. That hierarchy is complicated, but to massively simplify, it goes something like this. In California water law, there are essentially 5 different types of customers. 1, the federal government. 2, people who called dibs during the gold rush. 3, the major coastal cities. 4, the old institutional farmers that fronted the money to build the dams. 5, everyone else. If there's a shortage, instead of it being rationed out evenly between each buyer, customer 1 gets all of their water, then customer 2, then customer 3 gets whatever's left, and customer 4 gets nothing. And there's almost always a shortage. The amount of water that's promised is based on the capacity of the reservoirs, and the reservoirs only fill up about once every 10 years. So imagine being the poor bastards who are last in line.
Hello, I'm Tom Birmingham, General Manager of Westlands Water District. As the largest irrigation district in the nation, Westlands is proud to serve farmers on the west side of the San Joaquin Valley.
The southwest corner of the Central Valley is the worst part to farm. It's the driest corner, it has no major rivers running through it, and the soil is so toxic that when they first tried to farm it, the runoff created a pool of water so toxic that every bird in 20 miles got horrible birth defects. But in the late 50s, California...
Isn't the real answer that gender is just a social construct? So in your example, a trans woman who doesn't voice trans is also authentic, but does that mean that a woman who was born as female and identifies as female but sounds masculine, does that just make her less of a woman? I'd wager no. The who gender argument is moot because there are intrinsically no actual male or female traits to aspire to. I fully agree. And people that are trans and kill themselves over it are actually fucking retarded, because why the fuck would you kill yourself over something that's just like an arbitrary random social thing that could be whatever? Like, how stupid are you to be suicidal over some shit that doesn't matter at all, apparently, according to NBs in college who have nothing else to identify with because they're white and they come from upper middle class families, so the struggle they choose is one that can never be incorrect since it's all in their mind? True.
They decided it needed to build a reservoir around there anyway for their giant pump to Los Angeles. So while they were at it, they might as well irrigate the land nearby. And so Westlands Water District was born. Westlands Water District is, on paper, basically a public utility. They purchase the water from the government and handle the logistics of getting it to the customers. But in practice, their most important job is to act as lobbyists for their customers, fighting legal and political battles against other water districts for every last drop. So it might be instructive to compare Westlands to its main competitor, the Metropolitan Water District of Southern California. The Metropolitan Water District of Southern California is a massive conglomeration of all the city water utilities on the southern coast of the state. It represents almost the entire Southwest. And as you might expect, it's the most powerful and consumes the most water, about 2 million acre-feet. The second biggest water district is the aforementioned Westlands, representing this little section of the southwest corner of the valley. It consumes about 1 million acre-feet, just about half as much as the cities. But Metropolitan Water District represents about 19 million people, and Westlands represents about 300 farming companies. You might think the 300 people consuming as much water as the city of Los Angeles would...
Wait, I don't need to... There's no items I need to collect, am I right? I just need to clear the chapters on the four condo stuff?
Million acre-feet, just about half as much as the cities. But Metropolitan Water District represents about 19 million people, and Westlands represents about 300 farming companies. You might think the 300 people consuming as much water as the city of Los Angeles would be the most powerful people in the state, but the problem is they're not. In fact, as far as water is concerned, they're some of the weakest. The cities, being the economic engine of the state, are always going to have their needs prioritized over the farmers, and because the Westlands aren't near any natural bodies of water, they have no inherited water rights. And because they're rich, they're not very sympathetic to the public. But because they aren't as rich as the giant corporate farmers just south of them, including the richest farmers in the country who managed to get their own privatized massive reservoir, which is its own wild story, they don't have the same pull with Sacramento. And because their water project was one of the last to be built, they're last in line to get water from the federal government. So in Westlands, farmers can't get the water they need from the Central Valley Project, they'll have to buy it at exorbitant rates from their richer neighbors to the south. In other words, the farmers of Westlands are rich and powerful, it's just that they're the most dangerous type of rich. They're precariously rich, and they're surrounded by humiliating reminders that they aren't the most rich. In fact, there's really only one water user less powerful than Westlands, and that would be the fish that swim in the water. The Sacramento River is filled with anadromous fish that hatch way upstream in the rivers, exit into the ocean, live their lives there a few years before swimming back upstream to lay their eggs. The most important of those fish is the salmon. If the salmon dies, most of the sports fishing and tourism upriver dies along with it, along with the businesses it supports, and the Native American communities that have treaties guaranteeing their access to salmon. It will also permanently kill the commercial salmon fishing industry south of Alaska, and it will kill the pods of orcas that live off the coast of San Francisco Bay eating those salmon, killing the whale watching industry in the city as well. And the salmon are dying. The dams prevent salmon from hitting much of their natural spawning grounds. The San Joaquin River is just completely dry and in some places. The water is increasingly full of agricultural runoff, a euphemism for Roundup and cow.
Fuck, you guys are repeating my own talking points back at me, but you're being brain dead by repeating them. Kanye, social construct does not equal not real is all Destiny's saying. The end goal of trans person is not just a... Oh, wait, never mind. You're not. Sorry. The other person was saying retarded shit. Somebody spit my take back at me where it's like, Destiny, just because it's a social construct doesn't mean it doesn't matter. Yes, that is true, but the other person was implying that it was arbitrary when they say, oh, just whether or not your voice is high or low is just a social construct and that doesn't actually matter, blah, 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 doesn't mean anything. They were implying that that was an arbitrary threshold. You cannot be like screaming and screeching against your own lived experience so hard to make a comment as fucking retarded as like men don't generally have much lower voices than women who generally have much higher voices than men. Like if you find yourself making some statements where you're like torturing your inner model of reality to try to make it fit, stop.
Shit. And critically, the pump that gets water from the delta to the San Luis Reservoir pulls salt water deeper into the delta, changes the currents of the habitat, which confuses the fish, and has a habit of sucking the baby salmon into the pipes where they hit the fan and then...
But that bass is blended just the way you like it.
Wow, that's terrific bass!
But the people who depend on that ecosystem, the fishing industry, the farmers inside the delta, and the environmentalists only contribute a few $100 million to the economy, compared to the Westlands farmers' $3 to $4 billion. Which means if Westlands needs to take water from someone else to survive, politically, fishermen are the easiest target. But an entire ecosystem has value beyond short-term revenue, so we have laws to protect them, like the Endangered Species Act. But getting landmark environmental legislation overturned just for a marginal increase in farm productivity is kind of a big ask. So, how can a business interest get a large number of voters to get interested and take their side? Easy. Turn it into a culture war issue.
Yes! I love that!
Lots of money and no common sense have fostered the insane policies that are destroying one of the most vibrant and productive industries of California.
So I know what you're asking. Wasn't this supposed to be about the smelt? Why, yes, actually. Let's talk about the smelt. So while the pro-Delta interests are primarily worried about keeping the salmon alive, saving it is an uphill battle. The idea of a species going extinct only in a single river doesn't really scare people like a total species extinction. And there are other rivers with this species of salmon. So what would really be useful is a fish whose entire species is at risk. And that's where our little friend comes in. The Delta smelt lives only in the Delta. If the Delta goes, an entire species gets wiped out in one fell swoop. So the environmentalists sued in a federal court for Endangered Species Act protections. And in 2007, they won. They got a federal injunction against pumping water from the Delta during spawning season. Now the farmers are forced to fight a two-front war. One front against the state on salmon, and one against the federal government on the smelt. That might seem like a smart idea, but it actually created a huge PR opportunity for the farmers. Because there's no real human constituency at risk if the smelt goes extinct. And it's small. And it looks like any number of replaceable guppies and minnows. And the fact that it was a federal injunction also presented another opportunity. It meant you could make the issue about the president. And the 44th president of the United States has a well-known ability to make certain people go absolutely insane.
The president came out addressing reporters on Thursday, and he was wearing this tan suit.
And only the Democrats and only liberals could actually elect a guy with a tan suit.
A serious businessman wears dark blue or black to important meetings. I think it's a sign to enemies that he's a wimp.
ISIS is watching. If you were the head of ISIS, you were Baghdadi, if you were any of the ISIS, anyone in the ISIS leadership, would you come away here afraid of the United States?
So, hypothetically, if you ignored the salmon and the Delta water users, and ignore the fact that the pumping restrictions started under George Bush, and you ignore that the farmers are all millionaires, and ignore the fact that the pumping restrictions only amount to about 10% of the water they need, and that the farmers in the Westlands wouldn't even get most of it since they're last in line, you could turn this into a story of the rabid far-left eco-terrorist Obama forcing little Okie children to starve in order to save one tiny, pointless fish. But who could you get to sell that story? I mean, they'd have to be a completely shameless liar to do it with a straight face, with, like, no conscience whatsoever, and preferably beady little shark eyes.
Farmers in California, they're losing their land, their crops, and their livelihood, all because of a 2-inch fish. As many as 80,000 people are going to lose jobs. They're shutting off water.
Welcome to the valley that hope forgot.
We are live in the Central Valley in California, and what has become ground zero in a battle between environmentalists and whether or not the farmers in the Central Valley here have water. Ladies and gentlemen, this has become a dust bowl. They have all this water that they're sending to the ocean rather to the farms because of the little Delta smelt.
But Sean's right. It's not just affecting these farmers. I'm from the East Coast. It's affecting all of you guys out there as well. If we have to start importing tomatoes from other countries like China or South America, of course, prices are going to go up for you, and more jobs out here will be lost. Unemployment's already bad.
So it's worth stopping here to talk about the agricultural economy of California. California is said to produce 25% of America's food, and that's true, kind of. It's 25% not by calorie, but by dollar value, because California specializes in very expensive cash crops. Wine grapes in Napa Valley, marijuana in the mountains, lettuce in the Central Coast, rice in the Northern Central Valley, and in the Southern Central Valley, it's nuts. Particularly almonds. The popularity of almond milk in Asia, and especially China, has caused the price of almonds to skyrocket, and increasingly the San Joaquin Valley puts all its water into almond trees. So despite the attempt to misleadingly use statistics to make it seem like this fight will have some dramatic effect on food prices, really all that's at stake is a bottom line for these farmers, and maybe the price of almond milk goes up 10 cents. And so for lack of better options, Hannity and the farmers have to hide behind the farm workers.
The community food bank, this is what you're seeing now, where they're feeding 30,000 people every month.
Do you ever shed tears over this?
I do.
Every day. Every day. Why the tears? Because a lot of people need this help, and I wish there was more for them.
Can you believe this is America?
But given the conditions they force their employees to live in, it's hard to take seriously. The poverty in the Central Valley among farm workers is some of the worst in the country, and it has been historically. Ironically, the town Sean Hannity is filming in is infamous for this.
California, the communist paradise. Central California with the most communists. There you go.
Was the largest community. It had lost its doctor. It didn't have a high school. It didn't have a newspaper. Of course, everyone was living in very dilapidated rental housing. The actual conditions that we discovered that people were living under there were as bad or worse than the worst conditions that I've encountered in Africa, south of the Sahara, or southern India, or any parts of Latin America.
Sounds about right.
Population families were running 30% below the poverty level, which is particularly striking in the context of zero unemployment. We couldn't find any evidence for unemployment in the region, so that these were people working very hard for below poverty wages.
And in some ways it's gotten worse. Because the valley is a bowl, all the air pollution from the motorized farm equipment and cars zipping down the I-5 just sits there like a fog. A child raised in the valley is 20% more likely to develop asthma, and that air pollution is only getting worse courtesy of the bigger and bigger forest fires breaking out in the surrounding mountains. And because of the deeper and deeper well drilling by farmers, the homes in the valley often can't get clean water from wells when there's a drought.
We have had almost 2 months with no water. The way we discovered our water well went dry was I went to use the restroom, and when I flushed the toilet, nothing but dirt came out.
I don't know what's in the water, but it's ain't good.
Damn.
If you drink the water, you end up having kidney problems and stomach problems.
In fact, while the entire nation was fixated on the Flint water crisis, the workers in the San Joaquin Valley were facing year 2 of having no clean water available to their house. And the farmers and their lobbyists.
Do you see that water gave her a cut on her arm?
Concerned about this.
That's
crazy.
crazy.
You can do a documentary and you go out and you can say these people have a rough life. They have a low income, but you can also live with them and work with them and know that they're happy people. Just like if you go to the third world, the poorest people in the world, if they are adjusted and have a way of life, that is a fine way of life for them. Mexican Americans have found great work and like in some cases very well paying. In other cases pretty marginal, but there's a way of life for them too. Driving a tractor is driving a tractor and it's outside. It's a better job than a lot of us have.
Charming. But not exactly the vein you would want to take if you later want to hide behind
Think of all the exercise.
Bigger bailout from the government. None of this, however, deterred the rest of the media from following suit. Westlands had hired one of the country's most powerful PR firms to kill the smell, and they got to work. CBS, the Wall Street Journal, the National Review, the Los Angeles Times, the Sacramento Bee, the San Francisco Chronicle. But my favorite is in Ben Shapiro's 2014 thriller novel, True Allegiance, where it is specifically the Delta smelt protections that spur Ben's Bundy militia-style terrorist hero, Soledad Ramirez, to heroically bomb the EPA and try to murder the president.
The Environmental Protection Agency had ruled, and Congress hadn't overruled them, that the smelt fish were threatened by water overuse from the river. It didn't matter, according to the government, that her husband's father had bought the farm, worked it up from nothing. It didn't matter that she had 50-some employees and their families depended on her. All that mattered was the smelt. That damn fish. That night, she emptied her last bank account, some $25,000, then she went shopping. She had plenty of fertilizer, could obtain Tovex easily, and had her boys order nitromethane, supposedly so that they could race their hot rods around the area. She knew she was doing something borderline insane. Even though she'd taken all the precautions, no precautions could prevent the federal government from bringing all of its resources to bear. And if they were concerned enough about a fish to stifle the livelihoods of hundreds of thousands of people, what would they do if someone destroyed one of their offices? The handoff went down in the middle of a Saturday night in an open field. She woke up with the television blaring. Pictures of the blown outside of the Water Resources Control Board offices on I Street in Sacramento led every news network. All of them. Even Soledad was somewhat shocked by the security video. It looked like something out of a Schwarzenegger movie, with cement and steel blasting into the night sky. Plumes of smoke and ash rose from the bombing site. The news scrolled.
Goddamn federal government.
Terror suspected.
Our hero, ladies and gentlemen. But in the short term, the media blitz wasn't a great idea. Namely because it polarized an issue that was already moving in Westland's direction. Their senator, Dianne Feinstein, was already trying to craft legislation that would have given them 90% of what they wanted. And now in one Fox News segment, they had almost blown it up, because every wingnut congressman was now submitting bills the next day to repeal the Endangered Species Act entirely, jamming up all the committee meetings.
In essence, South Carolina is telling California how to handle its water issues.
And Feinstein took it as a personal betrayal, even threatening a Westlands executive in the hallways of Congress. It also sandbagged the state's plans to help by building more dams, because now all the liberals south of the valley were primed to punish the wingnut farmers, and all the conservatives were now convinced that the state didn't need more water, it was just being wasted. So why should they pay more taxes for infrastructure?
The almond farmers are using more water than all the people in LA and San Francisco combined. Half the almonds are shipping to China, and this is why we're getting water meters, and we're getting lectured and scolded, we gotta take shorter showers, we can't water our lawn. This is BS!
There isn't, even with the drought, really a water shortage problem. It's more a where the water is going problem. California agriculture accounts for 80% of our water use, even though California agriculture is...
True! Somebody said, once I dropped the centrist liberal worldview, it was shocking how much I realized the right lies about everything. Very true. Scrap 9392.
less than 2% of our economy.
But the biggest own goal would play out over the next 10 years. You see, the real battle lines between the fishermen and the farmers in the Delta wasn't the export restrictions. It was the plans to construct a new conveyance system, a massive $25 billion tunnel starting at the Sacramento River up north before it hits the Delta, then going all the way 40 miles underneath the entire Delta system to connect directly to the pumping plant in the south. This project has now gone through multiple names and iterations. The Peripheral Canal, the BDCP, California Water Fix, all basically refer to the same plan. If run correctly, the tunnel could allow the pumps to be turned off, meaning you could simultaneously protect the fish while making water deliveries more reliable. But the farmers in the Delta and the environmentalists don't trust the state to run the tunnel correctly. They think it's just going to take even more water out of the system. And like I said, it's $25 billion. and Westlands, being the stakeholder with the most to lose, was being asked to pay $3 billion. This PR blitz, I suspect, was more about trying to buffalo Obama into paying more money into the project than it was about the smell. And turning the water into a culture war issue may have given Westlands powerful friends in the conservative movement, but it cost them even more powerful allies: the Senate, Sacramento, the White House, and the voters of Southern California, whose bailout money they were going to need. So Westlands' leadership tried to walk it back. But it was too late. The conservative media had sunk its teeth into it, and they were not about to let go. It was too useful. It played up every stereotype about California they had pushed for years. And it could act as a
Good job,
scapegoat
Sean
for
Hannity.
anything bad happening in California involving water, particularly anything that could be interpreted as evidence of global warming. And in the following years, evidence of global warming would not be in short supply.
For more than a century, surveyors have been taking core samples and measuring the water content of the snowpack using a hollow pole and a scale.
79 inches.
79.
Good thing all that shit turned out to be totally wrong, and we're still waiting today to see the effects of climate change anywhere, because it's not happening for sure, right?
The combined snowpack measurements from the past 3 years show a trend significantly below historic average. And as spring turns to summer, the changes may become even more dramatic. A recent NASA study found that as the Earth warms, the number of lightning strikes in the west will increase. Couple that with a U.S. Geological Survey study confirming trees across the west are dying.
Does Matt Iglesias have any point about environmentalist groups or not?
Conversation that I have with Democratic Party members of Congress about permitting reform negotiations is that they want to get to yes on an energy permitting reform deal. Yeah. And every once in a while you meet a member of Congress who has strong views on the merits of this kind of thing, but like the vast majority of them don't. And like they want to be for a bill that is an energy permitting reform bill.
To make it easier to permit renewable energy mostly, but also they're okay with maybe a little bit of fossil fuels.
Understanding that there will be some kind of deal that will facilitate renewables and will also do something Republicans like. But they want whatever, they don't care what the content of the deal is. They want at least some name brand environmental groups to say that the deal is good. Yeah. Because they are not green fanatics who are like, I'll only do it if Greenpeace is for it, but they are not willing to buck the entirety of like EDF, NRDC, Sierra, et cetera. They need a split amongst the groups. But then they always tell me, you know, these groups are like, they're way more reasonable than you think, Matt. Like they've cast aside all this, you know, cobwebs of the 1970s and so on and so forth. And I just don't think that that is accurate. And like, I don't mean to say that in a disparaging way, but I think
what's the non-disparaging way to say you
no, because what I'm trying to do in this is actually take seriously the claims of this movement and what its priorities are. Yeah. And it really is a movement, I think, that is about preserving nature from the encroachments of humanity. You know, she uses the term, this is outdated, she says man a lot, right? But man or humanity is an important concept, right? And this opposition...
I don't even know what I don't care. Okay.
Dying at twice the historic rate due to rising temperatures and drought.
And this is an example of a catastrophic fire where there won't be anything left from this fire. You'll end up with bare ground.
This is, to some extent, the future.
Most certainly is, given the trends that we're seeing now.
California desperately needs rain. The drought that began in 2011 has grown worse every year since.
We've got good years and bad years. This is, I call it, worse years. This is really bad.
We're facing a serious drought, obviously. Hopefully it'll rain, but who knows?
And this isn't just the worst drought in 100 years. It's just been talked about over and over and over again. A new study said this is the worst drought in 1,200 years.
I'm issuing an executive order mandating substantial water reduction across our state.
The ground is literally sinking by up to 1 foot a year.
The storm-packing winds of up to 80 miles per hour began early Friday. Water rushing from the mountains triggered mudslide. The drenching rains were too much for the roads to handle. This 20-foot sinkhole swallowed 2 cars.
Now the integrity of a major dam in California comes under threat.
State water officials ordered the immediate evacuation of 188,000 people.
Nearly 7,000 structures destroyed. The town of Paradise is basically ash.
Up north, the death toll is still rising from the Camp Fire, which has now claimed at least 48 lives.
A frightening milestone. The Mendocino Complex fire in the northern part of that state is now the largest wildfire in state history.
The fire tornado exploded in the middle of what was already a gigantic
fire tornado.
In California, the August Complex fire has become the largest fire in state history. Nearly 500,000 acres have burned.
This was originally about 30 different lightning-started fires.
3 fires burning north, east, and south of San Francisco.
The skyline of San Francisco looking more like an image from Mars. The orange glow from wildfires burning miles away, shrouding the city's landmarks, the smoke blocking out the sun.
Jesus.
This temptation to minimize, to dismiss, is something that psychiatrists know very well about. They have a technical name for it. It's called denial. Denial. The rock group Dire Straits, I'm sure many of you know their repertoire, has a line in one of their songs which goes, "Denial ain't just a river in Egypt."
Global warming doesn't necessarily mean less precipitation in the west, but it does mean it'll come in more dramatic extremes, and more of that precipitation is going to come in the form of rain rather than snow, which means the water is going to start coming all at once in February, and then none at all for the rest of the year, with the exception of once every 7 to 10 years in which it just won't rain at all. That makes the same amount of water harder to store, which means less water on the off-season. The West problem isn't desertification, but an annual cycle of flood, drought, and fire, mixed with a decade-long cycle of mega floods, mega droughts, and mega fires. And that means lots of terrifying images of very clear manifestations of climate change live on TV every year for the rest of our lives. And that means climate deniers are going to need a very good scapegoat if they're going to stop people from thinking, oh no, maybe Al Gore was right. So, you can imagine how important that little fish became.
that Delta smelt. You know, that little fish, that what was an inch and a half fish, is driving farmers out of business.
They take the side of the smelt over jobs, over farmers, over humanity.
Why do we have to care about the Delta smelt, but we can't care about unborn human babies?
What we have today is a man-made drought brought on by laws
Who is
passed by
that?
Congress to where we're taking the breadbasket of the world and starving it of water to save little fish.
He poisoned our water supply, burned our crops, and delivered a plague unto our houses. He did? No, but are we just gonna wait around until he does?
And it has stuck. Read the comments on any news story about one of these disasters, and you'll see people blaming the smelt. Local government officials yell at children about it.
No, the answer to the question is your leftist buddies up there in Northern California won't let them run the pumps.
And as the natural disaster
God
escalated,
damn it.
so too did the conspiracy theories that they were man-made. It started with Devin Nunes alleging that San Francisco is just trying to destroy his constituents for absolutely no reason.
Because for 40 years in this body, people have made a career of using water as a weapon. Why? Because they never liked the fact that farmers and farm workers were making what was once a dry area of the state the Garden of Eden of this world.
Then, when the drought was at its worst, Alex Jones started saying it was the result of chemtrails.
We know there's geoengineering going on in California, that's admitted. It's going on all over the country, but really in California,
Well,
one of the most
was it?
intensive areas. We've interviewed a lot of meteorologists and others that say they believe the weather patterns and what's happening to precipitation is unnatural. So they're trying to call it a conspiracy theory. It's not.
And of course, when the megafires hit, that's when one congresswoman started blaming Rothschild space lasers.
On a now deleted Facebook post, Green questioned whether California's deadly campfire in 2018 was
Green?
started by
Who? We know that.
lasers.
We know that
Lasers,
person.
He says somehow connected to the Rothschilds.
And that is how, in the face of a massive drought, an American politician found himself machine gunning an endangered species as a solution.
These Delta smelt just won't die.
8,000 years of human civilization, and here we are, still trying to bring the rain back with animal sacrifice.
Hell yeah.
Back in the real world, the protections for the smelt had already been curtailed. Now that the drought was real, Obama wasn't going to take the political heat for fish. So, the smelt's death warrant was signed, and it disappeared from the Delta.
All the basic surveys that involve sampling for smelt are catching virtually no smelt.
And if the only effect of this successful propaganda drive was that a bunch of people who already didn't believe in global warming continue not believing in global warming, it wouldn't matter. But the thing about California's predicament is that it's not as bad as it looks. A more uneven distribution of water is a much better problem to have than a total net decrease in water supplies. And water is still very, very abundant. We're running out of it because we're wasting so much of it. Even a 25% reduction in consumption would essentially be a shift from very wasteful use to somewhat wasteful use. And of course, the key piece of infrastructure that could capture massive amounts of floodwaters and save it for super droughts is already on the table.
You can see that aquifer if you're driving north in California. It's just there.
And it was Westlands that blew up the deal.
The state's largest irrigation district, Delta, blowed the project by voting against the tunnels. The Westlands Water District isn't prepared to spend $3 billion on a plan that it calls too expensive for its farmers.
If they couldn't get the infrastructure for free, they were just going to wait until a Republican became president and killed all the fish for them. Thanks to Fox News, that was their best hope. Westlands doesn't want to kill the Sacramento River salmon run because it's the only way to get their water. They want to kill the salmon because it's the cheapest way to get their water. The infrastructure to save and conserve water will cost money, and cutting water consumption means convincing individuals to voluntarily cut their water use. But if half of California thinks there's a bunch of water being wasted on a fish, they're not going to agree to more taxes and spending cuts to build the infrastructure, and they're not going to reduce their own consumption to relieve pressure on the system. And remember, the main beneficiary of these projects would be the farmers who started the myth. And you might ask, hold on, how much political power do idiots who believe everything they see on Fox News actually have? Are you exaggerating? To which I would respond, remember our 45th president?
It is my high honor and distinct privilege to introduce to you the President-elect of the United States of America, Donald Trump.
Donald Trump is the first major Republican politician to be a genuine consumer of the new right-wing misinformation, rather than just someone who cynically uses it to their advantage.
True.
He's a human, multi-level marketing scheme, if you will. So when it came to the smelt myth, he was a true believer. But the mega drought ended just as he became president. He didn't need to do anything to turn Westland's water back on. Still, he needed to virtue signal what side he was on. So he made Westland's top lobbyist, David Bernhardt, Deputy Secretary of the Interior, and then later, just Secretary of the Interior. Now, putting lobbyists for a given industry in charge of the agency that regulates said industry is an old Republican tradition going back 40 years. But letting a lawyer hand out freebies to his own clients from the heights of the federal government is just a little too brazen, even for 2018 standards. So the administration announced he wouldn't touch any issue relating to his clients, including Westlands, for at least a period of 2 years. It was a promise he broke almost immediately.
The Interior Department's internal watchdog is investigating ethics complaints against newly confirmed Secretary David Bernhardt.
Under his leadership, scientific studies that said pumping hurt fish were suppressed, and scientists who did play ball were purged from the EPA. He didn't even wait 2 years before getting personally involved in the smelt issue, and he held secret meetings with Westlands before the first year was up. And in 2020, to no one's shock, the federal government gave Westlands a sweetheart deal in a legal settlement. It's hard to know if the smelt could have come back from the drought, but it never got the chance. With the pumping restrictions lifted, whatever fish were left were done for, and Westlands' lobbyists moved swiftly from promising the pumps wouldn't kill the fish to saying they had already killed the fish anyway, you might as well let them pump. Trump also cut off all federal funding for the peripheral canal, though that was probably more to spite Jerry Brown than to help Westlands. You would think this would all be good news for Westlands, and on some level it was, but with that sweetheart deal came more attention and more scrutiny from the press. The best lobbyists and PR firms in the country do not come cheap, so Westlands had to make up the difference by cooking the books to make it look like they were hemorrhaging less money than they actually were. But lobbying wasn't the only thing they were spending money on. While they were pleading poverty, the district's executives had also awarded themselves a pretty generous compensation. One executive, for instance, getting $1.5 million interest-free home loan. Now, I should note, this is, for some insane reason, not actually a crime. You're allowed to give unsecuritized home loans to employees for some... Wait, hold on. Jason Peltier. Where have I heard that name before? Wait, you?
You can do a documentary and you go out and you can say these people have a rough life, they have a low income, but you can also live with them and work with them and know that they're happy people.
Oh yeah, I mean, these Mexicans, they love working for $8 a day, but not me. I need $1 million house, please. But who cares about scandals? At least Westland's got its water, right? Well, no. Westlands is still only slated to get between 0 and 5% of their allocation this year, because that sweetheart deal didn't actually move them up the line to get water, it just made their hypothetical water cheaper, which is useful if it actually snows, but
The snowpack in the Sierra has vanished. Instead of feeding into rivers and flowing into reservoirs, it melted into the ground. Research shows 2 years of drought left the ground so dry, the water just sank into the soil and never ran off.
But wait, we're still not at the worst of it. Remember how I said those farmers mostly grow almonds, and those almonds mostly go to Asia?
Retaliatory tariffs from China on U.S. exports are now in place. The Chinese government made an announcement today saying it would increase tariffs by up to 25% on nearly 130 U.S. products.
Tariffs on about $3 billion worth of U.S. imports, including frozen pork, certain fruits and nuts, including California's almonds and wine.
One tweet can take away decades of relationship building.
Oh, this video must be old, I think, because this video came out before all of the sick trade deals that we've established, I think, right? Oh, yeah, 4 years ago. Oh, wait, this is an old video. Oh, shit, this guy doesn't even realize how bad the world's going to be. Oh, this poor dude is making this video back in 2021. He doesn't know that Trump's going to be president again. Oh, no. Poor guy.
In building markets, right?
It wasn't just China either. India, too.
Those ain't even the bad tariffs. Oh, man. It's almost like we did all this dumb shit once before.
Millions of dollars in lobbying, all the billboards, all the media campaigns, all the dead fish, and the farmers are still at square zero, with significantly less time on the clock, and their market share decimated. But they were desperate, and in their desperation, they turned to men they didn't entirely understand. And that plan worked about as well as any that hinges on the reliability of a zombie-eyed psychopath.
I got hit with a strap. Bam, bam, bam. And I've never been to a shrink by my father. I would tell you that I deserved it. I think
The smelt wasn't completely useless, by the way. When it was abundant, it acted as a buffer. As long as there were lots of smelt to go around, predators could get busy eating them instead of eating the more valuable baby salmon. But the salmon, it turns out, is not the only potential prey protected by the smelt. There is only so much longer an extinct fish can take the blame for global warming. A new scapegoat is going to be needed, and it appears the conservative media has already chosen one. The people of California.
Failed liberal policies are just simply encouraging the situation.
people just saying we can't put up with this anymore. So you just can't live like this.
Oi, mate.
The conservative media has now settled on trying to prove that California is actually just destroying itself because of liberal ideology.
Well,
the wildfires aren't caused by global warming, they're caused by green energy.
The green energy mandate turned the power companies' attention and resources away from the power grid and to wind and solar. In 2018, fully half of California's wildfires were started by power lines or related electrical problems. It's not hard to figure out why. California's power grid is ancient. It's not that the power company didn't know there was a problem. They knew, but they were focused on more pressing political priorities, like green energy.
God, that
That's where
pisses me off.
PG&E, a public utility, which just means it's the politicians who call the shots, put its money and resources.
So, believe it or not, Fred Flintstone here is lying too. PG&E is a private company and has been starting fires in California for decades. And also, it took like 30 seconds of looking through this video's sources to see a complete contradiction. For another example, see the constant banging on about homelessness as being caused by an unwillingness to use the correct amount of police brutality on homeless people, rather than, you know, studio apartments being $3,000 a month.
What do we do about the homeless? If you live in a big city, especially on the West Coast, you literally face it every day. The word itself is misleading. Homelessness is not primarily a housing problem, it's a human problem. But this dramatically understates the biggest draw of all, the de facto legalization of street camping, drug consumption, and property crime.
Now, you might remember this guy as the guy who started...
It's the guy! Wait, all the people are here! They're all the horrible people! We're here 5 years ago, and they're still here? Wait, what? No way.
The panic over critical race... Wait, hold on. Did he just say stealing is legal in California?
Where California progressives push for more drug injection sites and have decriminalized thefts under $950.
Is this the thing? Oh my god, it is. We get so focused on the really crazy shit like QAnon, we totally miss out on all the mundane crazy shit they believe, like California legalized stealing. Oh, and apparently they're spreading the plague now?
Bubonic plague, likely already present in Los Angeles, according to Dr. Drew. Why is this happening? California has a Democratic supermajority. You'd think they could get on one track to solve these problems.
And there are two reasons I'm telling you this story. Reason one, it is a perfect illustration of the Frankenstein's monster relationship between corporate interests and right-wing media. Some C-suite asshole decides to lash out at a government regulation that annoys him. Yep. He hires some amoral PR firm to put pressure on politicians. They turn to right-wing media, where the story starts out as a micro-targeted campaign against a specific policy, but is soon exaggerated into a crisis. A crisis which catches on with viewers to become a moral panic. A moral panic that metastasizes into an apocalyptic mass hysteria, destroying everything in its path and, more often often than not leaving the capitalists that started it worse off in the long run. So, keep an eye out for that. And then there's reason 2. If right-wing media's plans for dealing with climate-related disasters is no longer to deny links to climate change, but to instead try and convince their viewers that the victims of these disasters just sort of have it coming, that doesn't just convince people not to do anything to prevent climate change. It has the nasty side effect of convincing people not to prepare for the consequences of not doing anything about climate change, and to refuse help to any victims of it. And that's a problem, because California is not going to be alone in having a water and fire crisis.
Across Texas, towns like Robert Lee experienced record-breaking temperatures last year. Already dry grass and brush turned into perfect kindling for the worst wildfire season in Texas history.
5 wildfires are burning in Utah, and the governor has declared a drought emergency there. The Great Salt Lake is expected to reach its lowest point in modern history.
Pictures and stories continue to file out from Australia about the devastating fires. You can see all the areas that they're dealing with wildfires.
Cape Town, South Africa could become the world's first major city to run out of water. What they're calling day zero may be less than 3 months away.
Security forces in Iran's Khuzestan province have been firing bullets at people protesting over a severe lack of water.
600 million Indians, that's nearly half the population, are facing acute water shortages.
What can be one of the coldest places on Earth is on fire.
Firefighters, no match for flames this ferocious and this intense.
The death toll from wildfires in Turkey has increased to 8. Malnourished children and adults are forced to forage for leaves. Farmers have had to resort to using cardboard as food for their horses.
A record-setting heatwave has fueled the fires, are forcing thousands of people to evacuate. Flames are tearing through the Great.
I am stunned by how horrible this is.
Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe if you like the video, and I will see you again soon. And a
Be
huge
careful.
thank you to my very patient patrons: Kitten of the Yarn Persuasion, Deanna Banana, Big Nove, Fahigkiten, Headsville, Knowing Better, Ryan Refner, Zach Christensen, Scott Beckett, Gabot Sai, Joel Gomez, Carl Nyo, Armin Humeberg, Rob Field, and Ari and I.
Hold on. Please, just blow up the thing. The supply of water is going down. Why isn't the price of water going up? Because we keep finding more water in the ocean. We actually figured out there's quite a bit of water out there.
There's a lie the Germans started telling after Russia invaded.
Who is spamming a link? What?
Fuck farmers. If
Wow,
you're a farmer,
epic,
you're
epic.
probably retarded. Farmers got
Old
fucked by tariffs during the
meme.
first Trump administration.
True.
Then what did they do? They
Voted for
voted
more
for the
of it.
same guy who
Well-
was saying he was going to do even more tariffs.
What do you want him to do?
And then what happens when they get ducked again? They want a bailout. Half these retards wouldn't be in business without government subsidies. But what do they constantly bitch about? Yeah, that's right, the government.
For
They
other
will be
people.
the first to get fucked by
For other
global climate
people.
change. They get butthurt about environmental regulations. But that's only because they're butthurt about not being able to pollute streams and rivers with pesticides. God forbid they think of anyone but themselves. They
It's
constantly
America's
bitch
bread
about how
basket. They have to
family
feed
farms
us.
are going out of business and feel entitled to hundreds of acres they inherited from daddy and can't make productive enough to compete. Wow. I feel so sorry you have millions of dollars of land you could just sell at any moment and use to live off the interest, but instead you want to drive a tractor in circles until you fucking die. I hope Tyson buys up every single acre and you have to move to a city and learn to code.
Wow.
Fuck farmers and fuck you.
That's our future vibe coders. Why have you spammed the same thing? How many times have you spammed this? Even I can only handle so much Hasan slop.
Yeah. Sex pest in this community is completely out of control. They don't realize that they have been duped, that they're a part of a cult. It's mind-boggling. Everything that this man does, every piece of output he does is for self-interest. He has no real political goals here. He is duping you into believing that he has like a broader political agenda that he's serving. It's a lie. He's only serving himself and his own base needs and desires. Half the time it's literally sticking his dick into anything and everything he can, okay? With questionable morals. And then the other half is
There are so many other ways that my stream could have gone if all I wanted to do is make money. Like, it's the most retarded fucking argument in the universe. Like, it's so obviously not true. Like, you can obviously just look at the trajectory of my stream always.
just advancing a barrage of hatred, just gamer-gating his own personal enemies. Enemies that he has designed in his mind, by the way. Okay? Enemies that he thinks need to be put down. Myself,
Holy shit.
Ludwig, Judy Cinderella, all these other content creators on the internet.
Oh, that's cute. Actually, you know what? Thank you. This is a good clip. Okay. Wait, what is it? What does this mean? Who knows what this means? Yeah, true. There's some pressure that he feels there. That's why he has to signal this. Ooh, this is gonna be kind of a weird. This is gonna be kind of a weird thing though, because he really doesn't have anywhere else to go for me. Like I always like say shit, but I don't have like all my clips. I'm like saving all this shit now, so anytime I see some retard tweeting about me for Hasan, I can like fire off like, oh, you think this? Oh, well, here's like 4 videos of Hasan doing like literally what you're accusing me of, but 10 times worse. But I mean, for me, what's he gonna do? I'm already like a pedophile, rapist, cult leader. Like, how much more can you up the ante on how you talk about me? I've also never pressured any of his spineless fuck friends before, but I'm just saying, if Maya ever shows up on stream with this guy again, really, the animal girl is okay with the guy who tortures his poor fucking $10,000 suffering purebred dog? It's kind of weird. It's kind of weird.
That he claims have actually reduced his position that he deserves. Never taking credit. Never taking.
It's also, oh god, I wonder if he'll get better at this. Because he's gotten better at his like propaganda speak, but it's very how do you describe it? Where like it sounds like somebody is I don't know how to describe it. I don't know if I can emulate it. But it's like he always has like lines ready to go about me. Like the repetition is really big. Oh god, it's more Trump shit. You know, Trump always says the same thing over and over and over again, and I'm like, oh, you want me to listen to the same Trump speech? Oh, okay, Mr. Putin, let's listen. Now, Putin does this, but it's like, oh, what does Trump have to say today? America's the hottest country it's ever been. This was a dead country, and now it's the hottest country, and everybody wants to come in. It's like, and I always get bored of it, but I understand why. Because he repeats the same thing over and over again so that everybody gets the talking points and everybody's heard it. Even if you miss half of what Trump says, you'll always know the talking points because he repeats them all the time. And Hasan is the same way. He always runs down the same set of talking points every single time he talks about me. And he'll hit them over and over and over and over and over and over and over again.
Any kind of accountability, never taking accountability whatsoever for his own actions, constantly redirecting the attention at a moment's notice.
Like never taking accountability. I'm permabanned from Twitch. I'm demonetized from YouTube, and I'm being sued by a crazy, entitled, spoiled white girl. What are you talking about? You've never struggled for anything in your entire fucking life, I guess, except for your scalp struggling to keep the hair in your head, so you're injecting yourself with fucking 3 different drugs for that, or your body struggling not to turn into a flabby mess, or your beard, I guess, struggling not to have the color all run out of it. But I mean, aside from that, you've never had any actual struggles in your life before.
Back to others that have unjustly maligned him, right? Perhaps for that reason, Ethan Klein and Destiny are 2 peas in a pod.
Yeah.
Perfect together. Not only because of their very unhealthy fascination, dare I say, sexual obsession with the likes of myself, the likes of Dennis, Casey Tron.
I also need, if you guys are the ones, because some of you guys are really good, we have like a little fighting like clip complex now or whatever. For that sexual obsession shit, Hasan brings this up so much. It's really, really, really fucking weird. But I feel like every time he brings that up, we should hit him with the Paris Jackson thing. And we should hit him with the, also, Denims. I don't like to fight on the personal grounds. Well, actually, no, fuck it. They're all part of this. Denims was begging to fuck me that day that she left. Like, I just repost those DMs every time. This is the person, the one who was begging me, please, can we please fuck? Can we please fuck? Can we please fuck? Like, why would you put this person out there? Like, it's so fucking weird.
Rogan of their very unhealthy fascination, dare I say, sexual obsession with the likes of myself, the likes of Denims, Casey Tron, Rogan, numerous others. But also because they're both narcissistic weirdos who literally will never take accountability and self-reflect.
Okay.
It's always someone else to blame. It's always someone else that's fucking them over. It's never their own fault. Yeah. Ethan thinks the Hasan mod Chris CPS is mocking him in his child protective service visit. In reality, Chris CPS has had that username since at least 2021. Chris has also said the CPS stands for Club de Portugal Sporting. Ethan's crashing out over something he made up. Why is Hasan getting notes during our debate from someone named Chris CPS? I will subpoena Hasan if I have to. Hasan, do not erase evidence. Dude, does this strike you as the mindset of a normal person? Like, does this strike you as a normal guy? Yeah, look, at Chris CPS from 2021. From 2022, at Chris CPS. Chris CPS, wake up. Nerd Club is talking about Schneider in 2022. This is, what's the acronym stand for again? Club de Portugal Sporting. This is the paranoid hallucinations of a madman. But as we have found out, it doesn't matter if someone is absolutely insane. Because if they have a fan base of parasocial weirdos, they can advance whatever cause, no matter how mentally unwell that cause may be.
Like Hasan didn't shock his dog multiple times on stream over and over again to keep his designer dog in play. Or like Hasan buys all of his brand new fucking $2,000 pairs of pants at thrift stores. Like, this is what he does. This is exactly what he does.
Because people fucking believe this shit. People still to this day believe this shit. And a million other things that Ethan has claimed about others.
I shouldn't be building this on the front line. That's why I'm fucking.
Yeah, meanwhile, there's a compilation of me out there telling my audience to leave Ethan alone for more than a year.
And
he still had the audacity to blame me for people not liking him. Take accountability. Take accountability. Stop these fucking frivolous lawsuits. Just eat the L. Maybe go on a long retreat. Get some fucking therapy. You have enough money. It'll be good for you. And then you can come back. Revamp everything. What? Why am I being mentioned? What's going on? It's because we're revisiting some of the madness here. It's a big thing that there's someone who tells you the vids to watch and talking points, some secret mastermind. He claims to be the legend for watching iDubbbz Content Cop and for reacting, but he has never reacted or even addressed the amazing Amon video on him because that shit was too real and too raw.
What? Okay.
Yeah, it's crazy. I have combated right-wing misinformation my entire life.
No,
my
you
entire career has been
About
dedicated
you?
to fighting the forces of the far right, fighting the forces of the right wing.
No far right
and even
is
sometimes
ever
trying to get
attacking you,
liberals
bro.
to be on board with a much better politics, right?
Jesus.
I did not think that there would be an entire sphere of influence on the internet exclusively dedicated to A-logging me in the most ferocious manner possible.
You don't have, no offense, bro. You have nothing to A-log. He has no social life. You have no hobbies. Motherfucker doesn't do anything for fun. You do nothing. There is nothing to A-log. What did Hasan do today? Woke up, got his talking points ready for his stream, checked out what Destiny said last night to see if there's either talking points he can rip from me or things he can attack me on, and then stream for 8 hours, and then at the end, redo all, like, you do nothing. What could you possibly A-log from Hasan's life? He has no life. You have no friends. He doesn't go out. He has no hobbies. Like, what are you doing?
And then basically designing their entire worldview off of whatever the fuck I'm supporting to be against whatever the fuck I'm supporting. It's insane. I always tell people you're a career man, but they don't believe me. What does that mean? I'm a numbers guy. I'm not a career guy. I'm a numbers guy.
Huh, epic, bro. Epic meme.
Think of how much insanity you're taking for other people, though. You're a great tank. Sure, I'm a tank. I can handle it. But also, there's the other side of the story.
I'm a tank? Motherfucker is a queen that has rows of pawns in front of him that he's ready to sacrifice at a moment's notice. See iDubbbz. See Caseytron. See Denims and Frogan. This motherfucker didn't help them at all. They get nothing. It's like the worst cloud arrangement ever. You do everything for Daddy Hasan and he hangs you out to dry.
Because for every community that exists out there that gains a new member that is aggressively pursuing these causes for unbelievably narcissistic cult leaders out there,
unbelievable.
That's a person who's lost in the sauce. That's a guy who could have had a healthy life. A girlfriend or a boyfriend, a Demper, you know?
He's so
That's
selfless.
a person who is going down the right-wing rabbit hole.
Mm-hmm. That's us.
It's sad. I feel bad for these people. Mm-hmm. My whole life, I've tried to pull them out of this and have successfully done so.
Yeah,
right?
Okay, bro.
You're being a little hard on Ethan. We all know he's secretly a huge fan of you. You're the only Twitch channel that he follows. Yeah.
Huh. Epic. Got him, bro.
It's just crazy.
True.
This is what used to be relegated to the crazy guy on the sidewalk, but now they have millions of YouTube subscribers. I know. And also tens of millions of dollars. So they have unlimited bandwidth to go and pursue these frivolous lawsuits to bury others who have far less money than they do under costly litigation, under paperwork. Frogan is a great example of this. Caseytron is another great example of this. I mean, this motherfucker made Caseytron do an ISIS hostage-style video, made her apologize to Asmongold. Asmongold, Ethan Klein, the great combatter of anti-Semitism, has been aligned with Asmongold for the last 3 years. Kayagate literally pulled me out of a spiral. I was drifting towards some bad shit before some of my friends started yelling about you being an anti-Semite and shocking your dog.
Which is the most obvious thing he's ever done.
All of them call for your ban together and then stopped out of nowhere? I mean, some of them still call for my ban. They do every now and then.
Do you think Hasan personally watches your streams? No. He's got to have people that collect the information. When you said you're going to spam journalists that give Hasan kids clubs, that extent to streamers being all cutesy with them? Yes, 1 trillion %. That's why I'm tagging the fear and people.
America.
Oh, our queen. Both of our queens.
Has always, in every single year that it has existed, been great and done great things. And America has always, in every single year it existed, been awful and done horrible things in the sense that, you know, our government reflects people and people are going to people.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Focus Group Podcast. I'm Sarah Longwell, publisher of The Bulwark, and this week it's 4th of July. But it's not just any 4th of July, it's America's 250th anniversary. In a normal time, that would be a great unifier. It could help bring people together around some of our lofty national ideals. But it's no secret that the Trump years have complicated a lot of people's relationship with patriotism. And some polling, like a recent Fox poll, showed that 27% of Democrats considered themselves proud of the country, compared to 83% of Republicans. But at the same time, 61% of Democrats considered themselves extremely or very patriotic. Gallup also found recently that a record low 58% of U.S. adults say they are extremely or very proud to be an American. The number for Democrats has basically fallen off a cliff during both Trump terms. We're setting out to explore the complicated feelings people, particularly Democrats, are having about America during the Trump years.
What'd you guys do today?
I did your research for you.
Oh.
But I want to say that Sarcastic DM? What's the fuck? What the guy? Sarcastic? Whoever the YouTuber you were just watching about the fish. Very good, and he doesn't have nearly as many subscribers as I figured. And he had sub 100K.
Well, it's a tough racket out there.
All right, I've come to you and I have my opinion.
Okay.
Anti-BDS laws. I think that they're actually fine, and I think that the states can honestly choose to, do government contracts with who they'd like to.
Wait, hold on, wait. Anti-BDS. Wait, okay, yeah. Wait, why?
So you were trying to, or not trying, sorry. When you first initially talked about it, it sounded to me like you were saying anti-BDS laws makes it illegal to protest.
No, to boycott
as a civilian.
Okay.
But it's not that. It's just the state isn't going to give you government money if you are doing this. So, for example, if you're a public college and you're working with, let's say Ben & Jerry's is being extremely anti-Semitic.
Okay.
And you're working with them, they're not going to, sorry, that's not even correct. If you're a public college and you are boycotting Israel, then the state is not going to give you money anymore.
Oh. Okay.
It's not for just individuals. It is for state contracts in every single place. And a lot of the states have it so any contract worth less than $100,000 and less than 5 people who work at the company are exempt. So it's just for the bigger stuff in a lot of the states. Some of these were done through executive order, which I think is personally retarded. I don't think you should be able to just do this through executive order. But most of these were passed through the House and the Senate of each state. I have a whole fucking, hold on, I'll link it if anybody cares. Here's a doc. And then it
Wait,
says
is this
whatever
only for
state
Israel,
has.
or does this apply to other countries too, or what? Could you boycott Nicaragua if you wanted to, or what?
If the state did it, yeah.
If the state did
right
it,
now
what do you mean by that?
Yeah, so if the state passed it, that it was for other countries, then yes, they could. But right now, a lot of them only pertain specifically to boycotting Israel. A lot of them are very finely worded. Does that make sense?
I guess. Why just Israel, though, right? Doesn't that look sussy baka? Just because nobody tries to boycott any other places, or what?
That would be my guess, yeah. I came up with a few good questions. So, interesting questions that I want to talk about. Should Alabama be able to say, if your company donates to the DNC, we won't give you state contracts? Because I think that's where this could go. My initial thoughts are yes, power of the purse. The state should be able to decide how it uses its money. If the state doesn't want to give money to companies it feels are against the state's interest, it should be able to do so. We're already gerrymandering on political lines. This feels like it would just be a similar thing. Interestingly, I don't know how I feel about gerrymandering based on political lines.
Wait, actually.
Yep.
Okay, I guess I was... So one, I thought this applied to individuals, and I didn't know it had anything to do with government money. If you get government money, you probably should never be able to boycott any other country, right? Because states aren't allowed to set economic policy like that, right? Like the economic policy and trade agreements and everything are managed by the federal government.
By the federal government.
So imagine if you had a state that was giving a whole bunch of contracts to a whole bunch of companies that were boycotting, say you hate the EU, and you're like, we're only going to give money to companies that don't work with the European Union or something, or boycotting the European Union or something. That would be the purview of the United States federal government to manage that, not individual states, right?
That would be my thought behind it, yeah. That's not where my argument was going, but yeah, that makes sense too.
Interesting. Yeah. Huh. Yeah, Newsom said a thing that was kind of troubling, but I don't know if he was memeing or what. But Didn't Newsom threaten at some point to start negotiating their own trade deals between California and or whatever?
they did.
Yeah, that's definitely not. That's definitely not okay. As base as that was, it's definitely not okay.
Oh yeah, a lot of it was like so there were 2 circuit court decisions on this.
Which
a
circuits?
lot of it, the 8th and then the 11th.
Okay.
The 11th Circuit completely cucked out and said the school had qualified immunity over the case. I believe the 11th Circuit. Hold on, let me look because I want to remember. The 11th Circuit case didn't talk about the constitutionality of it. They just said the school had qualified immunity and then didn't expand on it. So this was about like Title IX shit. That one was the least interesting. The 8th Circuit, in 2021, the 8th Circuit Appeal Court ruled this as unconstitutional by a 3-judge panel. This had to deal with a lady who was going to do speeches at a... Wait, no, hold on. I'm getting them confused. Arkansas Times filed a lawsuit against various members of the University of Arkansas Board of Trustees in their official capacity as trustees concerning the Arkansas Act, seeking a an act prohibited the boycott of Israel.
Okay, wait, hold on. Also, wait, real quick thing. Yeah. Another guy said this, and somebody said this yesterday too. Did Jon Snow really kill a White Walker when he was beyond the wall? In what? How did he kill him? What did he do? I don't remember this. I feel like I know he was like killing zombies and shit.
Did he get him with a dagger?
No shot. Did he? Well, enough people are saying yes, he must have. All right, link the clip. I need to see this.
Jon Snow killing White Walker. Season 5, episode 8. And season
no. Season 5, episode 8, yes. But people are saying in season 7 he does. I don't remember in season 7. I remember
season 7, episode 6, Beyond the Wall. In both instances, he successfully shatters the creature using the Valerian steel longclaw sword.
Are people mixing up the rights, or the whites or whatever? Right? Is it W-I-G-H-T or W-R-I-G-H-T with White Walkers? Is that what people are doing? Where Benjen saves him? I don't think he kills any White Walkers there. I think you guys are just fucking retarded.
Jon's team is ambushed by the Army of the Dead and a White Walker. Jon directly engages the Walker and easily dispatches it with Longclaw.
Wait, where?
That's season 7, episode 6.
Oh, well, hold on.
I don't have the clip.
Wait, no, this is not season 7. This fight here was season 5.
Yeah, he does in season 5 too. I'm looking right now.
My link. Oh, hold on. I kind of like just try not to think of any of this. Oh, maybe he does kill one here. I don't even remember. Oh, he does. It's just like a nothing burger, just nobody gives a fuck.
Yeah.
Jesus. Cringe. Okay.
Yeah, so I mean the anti-BDS laws are literally just about the states' rights to determine where their money goes.
Yeah, that makes more sense. Also, you can't, you shouldn't be able to do foreign policy. Like, you can't cut off entire countries. I guess nobody ever talks about boycotting well, it's just Israel, I guess. But I imagine it should be the case. This would be the question: would be, are there any states that boycott any other countries? Because the answer should be no on everything, and if somebody does, that should not be okay. If there's only like these anti-BDS things around Israel, but also. You can, as a company, boycott Israel. You just can't receive government funds while doing so, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But a lot of these, it's kind of funny. So it seems like there's a bit of a loophole. So you can, a lot of the states create a blacklist of like the for-profit companies that are boycotting Israel that you're not allowed to work with. But some of them only make you sign a pledge that you're just not going to work with, like, you're not going to boycott Israel yourself, etc.
Okay.
And I don't think that the states are allowed to request and get you to send over like your financial disclosures of exactly which companies you're working with. So I think all you would have to do is sign the pledge and then you're good to go for the most part.
Interesting.
This did get me to another interesting question. Should a state be able to only invest in Democratic or Republican businesses?
This is like an equal protections question. And the question should be, do you think you should be allowed to discriminate based on... Should you be able to discriminate based on political party? And right now the answer seems to be yes.
Yeah.
Which is nobody... I don't think anybody's ever tried much of this before, but like theoretically, I could make a restaurant and say no Democrats allowed or something, right? And I think you're allowed to do that.
I think it'd be good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, so my thoughts on gerrymandering is you shouldn't be allowed to do it on political lines, because gerrymandering and voting is literally the only thing that we have to stop against all of this retardation.
Sure.
So I don't know. Yeah.
It used to be gerrymandering along like partisan lines was kind of just like an unfortunate, annoying thing that we all kind of thought was like hard to deal with, and we weren't really sure what to do about it.
So we just were like, fuck it.
Well, it was supposed to be kind of like a shameful, like, I don't know, like that was it. Like that was the Supreme Court's position on it. But after the Alito authoring that opinion, the Supreme Court has given political gerrymandering its full blessing to now go as hard as you want on it, which is unfortunate, but yeah.
And then I had another interesting question come out of this. Do states have a fiduciary responsibility to invest in the best interests of their pensioners?
I would imagine so, right?
Okay, then how do we feel about green investment goals for pension funds?
Well, I mean, the best investments for your people depend on what your people want, right?
True. It's not just monetarily, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Like if you're a board member and you have a fiduciary responsibility to do what's best for your company, and you find out that your computers could be manufactured for half the cost because like a new child slavery cult opened up that you could employ, and you decide not to do that because you feel like it doesn't align with the values of the company or whatever, like I don't think that would count as like a violative of your responsibility to the shareholders. They would say, well, this doesn't align with the interest here. Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah, so, I don't know. It doesn't seem like a First Amendment violation. It's just the states choosing who they want to work with. And a lot of it's for state contracts with 5 more employees, and worth more than $100,000. So this was honestly a pretty big nothing burger.
Well, so like
the
the
craziest
guppies, like
thing
the
to
fish.
me was a qualified immunity is also given to just federal employees.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time it seems like with qualified immunity, it's like on a 2 fucking pronged thing. Was there a civil rights violation, and then was it clearly established? So we were watching a Legal Eagle video about qualified immunity, kind of branching off of this. And there was a prison guard who, there was a guy in prison, and I think he was like taunting the guard, and the guard just sprayed him with pepper spray.
Mm-hmm.
And this was an 8th Amendment violation, but it wasn't clearly established to the court in prior that this would be a violation. So he got off, or he got he got covered by qualified immunity. Now that's only civil, so he could have been legally charged, I guess. But it seems crazy that we have was it clearly established on things that I would just think are pretty obvious.
Well, when you say clearly established, what do you understand what you have to clearly establish, or what do you mean by clearly establish?
I believe clearly established means like there is set precedent on this matter.
Yeah.
Like there is set law. Yeah.
Or, well, I don't know about set law, but I think it has to be like, are you performing within a certain standard of like what you're doing as a part of your job? So like, I don't know if every state uses the same. You've got like intentional, and then below that you've got reckless, and then below that you've got negligent.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think for like, I think when you're talking about losing your qualified immunity, you have to be like at least at like, I think like it might even be the reckless standard. Like you have to be at a really, really high standard to be held civilly liable for a fuck up that you're doing, which is like, it's annoying, but like it's probably necessary. Otherwise, basically, if you imagine like every single time somebody's arrested and then somebody wants to sue you for like wrongful detainment or something related to kidnapping or some kind of injury, like basically every single police officer would be getting sued every single time there's an arrest.
So I hear you, but don't we have this already for like people who work in hospitals?
What do you mean?
Like if you're a doctor, I assume these motherfuckers are getting sued all of the time for like any fucking reason, and they have insurance for all of this. It kind of just becomes like what I feel like would be a cost of doing business.
Sure.
The
I would
one
have to
argument
see.
that I like is like the chilling effect on like how police actions would be if they didn't have qualified immunity. That's an interesting one, I feel like.
Sure. Well, I mean, so one, I would have to check on the hospital thing if you can truly sue somebody, because I think my guess is going to be that even for the hospital stuff, if you sue somebody, you have to show some kind of like wrongdoing. It's not enough to just say like the doctor stabbed me or whatever. You have to show some kind of like wrongdoing, I would imagine. But also, if we were to say, well, fuck it, that's just the cost of doing business. I mean, cops are public servants, so the cost of doing business would just be passed off to the public regardless, right?
Yes, but wouldn't this hopefully get us better training in order to circumvent the cost of the public? Like, rather than states having 3 months of cop training to be a cop, they would instead actually put them through rigorous, like,
I mean, it could,
courses.
but we're talking about a public entity anyway, and we shouldn't need a profit incentive for that public entity to do better on that. Like, if we feel like our cops are being too violent, like police are public, that's a public service. We shouldn't think like, okay, well, how can we financially incentivize the police department to do better? It should be like, oh, well, this is like a state-run thing. We should just increase the standards. Like, we should be able to just do that, you know?
I agree with that, but why haven't we then?
Because it costs money, and nobody wants to. It would probably cost a
Nobody wants to
significant
put the money
increase.
out there?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm excited to see how, I think it's New Mexico, how their shit goes in a few years. Because it's probably going to take a few years for everything to sort itself out. I think New Mexico doesn't have qualified immunity anymore.
Really?
I believe that was the state. Yeah. It's the state banned the doctrine for all government employees, including law enforcement.
Interesting.
Which is interesting because I thought qualified immunity was a federal thing.
Well, yeah, I mean, you can have federal...
You can have federal shit banned by the state?
Or no, I mean, like, federal officers can have, like, qualified immunity on the federal level.
Oh,
but they
yeah.
can still theoretically be charged at the state level, right? That's why that, that's why those two guys were whisked away, right?
Yeah, they were immediately taken out of the fucking state of
Minnesota.
Minnesota, yeah. No, nothing? We're not going to hear anything about that? They're just gone?
What do you mean? We did hear about it.
What about
They're
the
gone.
school? Oh my god, bro. I don't know. The legal guy was saying there were some pretty fucking crazy cases that he was bringing up. I think in another one, it was proven that the cops did a warrantless search that was illegal, but they were somehow qualified under qualified immunity. I don't remember exactly.
Sure. I will say that,
I'd
like,
have to go look.
I'm sure you've seen this by now if you've looked into, like, Reddit stuff, but, like, it's really important to get the facts right on a lot of things, because
Yes, it
sometimes
is.
you hear a thing and, like, it seems unfucking believably horrible, but then when you get the facts,
Yeah.
you're like, oh, okay. You saw that thing going around on Reddit a while ago where there was some guy, and people were like, this guy, all he did was he cleaned up the pollution, and now the government, like, is fining him some huge thing, and it's crazy when all he did was pick up 2 tons of trash. Did you see this?
I don't think I did, no.
Oh. Yeah,
I would say the same thing for like the anti-BDS laws here.
Oh,
Like,
sure, yeah. People got real
were
mad
making it
about
sound
the
like
guy
insane.
picking up the 2 tons of trash, saying that like the government was fining him, like, or whatever, and all the guy did was pick up trash. But what he did was he was operating a fucking crane without a license or something, or like a not a bulldozer, not a crane. What do you call it? The things that like scoop stuff, excavator.
Oh,
without
yeah,
a
like an
license.
excavator?
Which is a little different.
So he just rented an excavator, brought it out to wherever it was, and then was using it?
I guess, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that people should do illegal things like that.
Sure. Or regardless of what they
good.
should or shouldn't
But
do.
yeah.
Like, even if you think, well, I don't know, I still would kind of disagree. It's usually not as, like, unbelievably fucking crazy as, like, the headline
Yeah,
would
I
have
agree.
you. Yeah.
They're making it sound like the guy was out there just picking up trash in his free time.
And the evil
for-
government came
yeah.
by and did the evil, horrible
Yeah.
thing, and yeah.
If I was the government, I would probably just choose not to prosecute there. It's probably more fucking harm than it's worth, but yeah.
Maybe, yeah.
I was surprised to read this about the anti-BDS laws. I thought they were going to be giga, omega fucking retarded and crazy.
I did this a while ago. I don't know if you saw it, or like when I was starting to look up conspiracy theories, like the Epstein stuff was a lot like this, where it seems like there's a lot of crazy shit and you're going to have to dig through a ton of stuff to figure out like the actual truth of the matter. But it's actually the truth is almost like immediately accessible and is usually nowhere near as juicy as the stories would have you believe. And it takes all of like
it was like
30 minutes of reading
at the top.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because in the first place that I looked, it literally says in Alaska, administrative order stating that all state contracts must include a clause, the support or participation of a boycott of Israel shall be grounds for termination of the contract. And I was like, wait, is this just all about state contracts? Is that it?
Sure. Although that is still, that can encompass a lot of the money in a state because people obviously, but then if you think about also like the role of the states versus the federal government, you can't do foreign policy from the state level. It's not really okay.
Yeah, I was thinking, is it possible for a blue state to just ban anybody from any state contracts working with Israel? I think that'd be something interesting to test out.
Oh, true. Did you ever see the epic Reddit meme for the killdozer guy?
I don't think so.
The guy who like locked himself in a bulldozer and cemented it closed or whatever, and then just went on a fucking rampage in a town.
I've never.
Why? How you do not see all these epic Reddit memes? But basically, everybody was like, "Yeah, this guy like fucking. He obviously got pushed past the edge." And the stories were usually like he went to his boss's house because he didn't give him overtime pay, and so he got vengeance or whatever. But I think in actuality, it ended up being like his wife left him or some shit, and he wanted to just murder as many people as possible, and he killed himself inside the thing out. It was like significantly more fucked. It wasn't like an epic story when you actually got into it. It's like, okay.
I'll watch it tomorrow. The killdozer incident.
The killdozer thing. It's dumber? Is it dumber than that? I don't remember the actual.
So, like, this brings me to what do you do about misinformation, I guess? It's like, do you just have to have a curious mind?
Well, I mean, hopefully you have your media to hold people accountable for...
I guess, yeah.
Wasn't he dumping waste? The guy in the killdozer thing? I thought he went to demolish like his boss's house or his ex's house or some bullshit, and then didn't he shoot and kill himself afterwards or something? Inside the thing when he realized he wasn't going to be able to do anything? I don't remember.
He killed himself inside his killdozer?
I think so.
Oh yeah, the 8th Circuit entire panel, they got the en banc for this, basically ruled on it as not infringing on the First Amendment because it was non-expressive commercial conduct. It was a 9-to-1 split.
Damn. Wait, hold on. Okay, a lot of people listening to a lot of different things. We're watching this real quick.
Friday, June 4th. 2004. An Air Force veteran, settling down in the small town of Granby, Colorado, quickly found himself at his breaking point after losing a decade-long legal battle to a powerful family dynasty who took his land and ran his muffler shop out of business. To enact revenge, the welder fortified a bulldozer into a homemade tank and set out to destroy
this sounds like the epic Reddit story.
Took everything from him, resulting in a response from the Army National Guard and an Apache helicopter.
You had to take me on en masse. Well, I'm going to take you on by myself.
In 1992, an auction was held in the small town of Granby, Colorado, in which a foreclosed 2-acre property was to be sold to individual bidders. And Cody Dochev, a powerful Colorado businessman, saw an opportunity to expand some of his business, with plans to buy and build a state-of-the-art concrete plant for his company, Mountain Park Concrete. But to Dochev's surprise, there was another man who had his eye on the foreclosed property, Air Force veteran and Granby newcomer Marvin Heemeyer, who outbid Dochev and secured the 2-acre property for $42,000 to build a muffler shop and expand his welding business. A frustrated Dochev confronted Marv and advised him that the town of Granby doesn't need another car garage, to which Marv advised Dochev that the property was his for $60,000. But Dochev declined his offer and refused to give in to the blue-collar outsider. Marv left the auction with no idea what was to come. The outsider had inadvertently derailed the plans of one of Granby's most prominent and powerful families, and the Dochevs were sure to never let him forget. By the late summer of 1992, Marvin Heemeyer settled in to his new hometown of Granby. He renovated the 2-acre property and built a large warehouse to serve as his body shop. and shortly after, Mountain View Mufflers was officially opened for business. His neighbors at Mountain Park Concrete weren't too pleased, among them Cody Dochev. And in the months to follow, the Dochev secured a loan and offered Marv $250,000 for the 2-acre property. But Marv reportedly raised the price to $375,000 and again to $1 million, further agitating the Dochevs. A few weeks later, Marv received a letter from the town of Granby informing him that his property sewage wasn't up to code. He assumed the problem wouldn't take much work and inquired on how and where to hook up the sewage lines. But to his surprise, the lines were located nearly 500 feet from his property. And with him being responsible for the materials, construction, and months of labor, Marv was shit out of luck with a $100,000 estimate just to connect to sewage. And to add even more red tape, Marv's property didn't even have a maintenance easement. And because the easement would traverse property lines, Marv had to seek the approval of his neighbors over at Mountain Park Concrete, directly from Gus Harris and Cody Dochev. Marv went straight to the board of the sewer district, run by another Granby family dynasty, Ron Thompson, a friend of Dochev's and brother of Granby Mayor Dick Thompson. And like Dochev, Ron Thompson wasn't too keen on outsiders like Marv. Thompson gave him an ultimatum: $90,000 to get a sewage ordeal fixed and up to code, or remain unconnected and face the consequences. Left with no choice, Marv refrained from connecting to sewage with hopes of finding a cheaper alternative in the future. And by November of that year, Marv returned to the sewage board and demanded easement, and settled a deal with Gus Harris to traverse his property at $20,000 per acre. But in the weeks to follow, Gus Harris ghosted Marv and failed to honor his word, forcing Marv's sewage to remain unconnected for several months. And the months became years, and by 1998, the Dochevs decided to move forward with their construction plans of a massive indoor concrete plant. Marv resisted, but wanted to maintain a cordial relationship with the Dochev, but he was inevitably forced to act, as the Dochevs intended on building in the southwest portion of Marv's property, where Marv had already planned on building a large parking lot for his customers. The Dochevs applied for and received a bizarre location-specific zoning permit that exempts certain plots of land from zoning laws if the purpose of rezoning falls into specific categories. And by the time he figured it all out, Marv was well past the 30-day deadline to appeal the decision. Construction vehicles and operations blocked off the only road to the muffler shop, and Marv began to lose customers. Out of desperation, Marv purchased a Komatsu bulldozer to make his own road for his customers, but he was shut down by Town Hall. And by November of 2002, a judgment was made against Marv for failing to connect to sewer line. The court ordered that the muffler shop remain closed, and with the Dochev denying easement, Marv was found in violation and was fined $100 a day until he connected to sewage. On November 17th of 2003, Marv wrote a check for the amount of $3,351, which he addressed to the Cowards and Liars Department after having felt completely violated by the Dochevs and their shady political dealings. He lawyered up and took the town of Granby to court, but failed yet again and was punished for it, as the town turned around and reimposed additional fines of up to $1,000 for leaving abandoned vehicles on the rezoned property. And to add fuel to the fire, a local Granby newspaper wrote an editorial piece speaking poorly of Marv interfering with the Dochevs' business, as if Marv was the bad guy. He was now stuck in a situation he had no way out of: a useless property, zero income, and his property and belongings were auctioned off. His direction and hopes for the future were, in his mind, stolen. What once was a dream became a nightmare. He truly believed that the town of Granby maliciously conspired against him, because the town of Granby perceived to have conspired against him. And that's what officials
he couldn't connect the sewer line? He couldn't take care of any of his problems? Hello?
If you carry the tools to break a man and present yourself as the villain, perception is reality. And in April of 2004, in Marv Meyer's reality, revenge trumped forgiveness, as he fortified half-inch steel plates insulated with concrete on the bulldozer.
I have had a perfect life up until 1999, when I found out what the Thompsons had done to me in 92. And I am not going to take it. And I have to use the resources that I have, the wherewithal that I have, the ability that I have, the knowledge that I have to make this right. I am not walking away from it. Maybe I'm being a coward by doing what I'm doing, because without a doubt, I'm doing what you have done. I'm lying. I'm conspiring.
Hey, this is definitely a pro Slava Reddit video, but...
And it's going to happen. If I would have been married, had a family, you know, things may have gone different. But God built me for this job. You had to take me on and match.
Jesus Christ.
Let him cook.
Well, I'm going to take you on by myself.
Good morning, Colorado.
It's great to get started with you.
Good morning, Colorado. Start your day with what you need. Updating. Can you take us through it chronologically so people get a sense? I know it all started about 3 o'clock this afternoon. Where did he begin? Do you know?
Marv took the dozer straight through the Mountain Park concrete plant. His arch nemesis Cody Dochev tried to stop the onslaught by ramming Marv's killdozer with a wheel tractor scraper, but retreated once Marv opened fire through one of 3 gun ports installed on the killdozer. Jesus. Once the concrete plant was successfully demolished, he moved on to Town Hall. Next, he destroyed the Granby newspaper office that slandered his name. Police responded to the chaos and had no means to stop the dozer. Their futile attempts to open fire